Hello and welcome. I am Becky Feldman Edwards from USGBCLA, and we are happy that you are watching our call for submissions for MGBCE recorded webinar. So hopefully this gives you everything you need to fully submit your abstract for this year's conference. So first off, I will share my screen so you can see the email that you're looking for in the link. So we'll go through those logistics and then answer just a few questions that you might have about the whole process that we've been getting from people. So give me one moment and I'll go ahead and share that. And I also would like to introduce Robin, who I have here with me, who is leading our charge on speakers this year. We are so happy to have you join us, and she'll be answering questions as well. So, of course, my screen doesn't want to share, but give me another second. And there we go. So you should look out for this email that came for us. It is a call for submissions email. It will have a lot of the preliminary info in here. And then you can just go ahead and click on this link to get to our abstract form. So it's pretty simple to fill this out. We have all of our calls to action here, and these are really the topics that we want to cover during the conference. They're acting as our calls to action, but really are topics and sort of tracks for the day. So I really encourage you to keep these topics in mind when thinking about what you're going to submit. I will make an announcement that's a little coming out later today that the deadline for submissions has been pushed back to March 28th to give you all a little bit more time. I know that a lot of our questions were around like, oh, I've got to submit it now. Like it's not complete. What do I do? Well, you will have another week, but even if you don't have things completely fleshed out, definitely encourage you to submit what you do have and your ideas. There will be time. The final presentations are not due till May 1st. So that means that's when you have to have every speaker locked in. So though we do base obviously the selections, or the committee will base the selections on what is submitted. So being as complete as possible will definitely give you a leg up. If you do have ideas or several different directions you're thinking about going, I encourage you to include that below, and then we can work with you to fine tune it as needed if your presentation is chosen. So these are the basics here. You will pick a track which will help sort of direct your presentation. And then when you go down to some of these key messages and learning objectives, this is an opportunity to say, okay, I have a presentation that is around resiliency and adaptation, and I want to approach it in one of two ways. And then as the committee looks at all the submissions, they can say, great, well, we have people tackling resiliency, but we really could use somebody on adaptation. And then we would get back to you and say, if you can tailor it more in this way, that would be really helpful for the conference. So that is definitely a possibility. If you know exactly what you want to say and you have everybody you want lined up, obviously submit that as well. That is wonderful and really helpful. So that is it. This form is pretty simple, but feel free to submit any other questions if you have them. This is where you'll find it, though. It's 3-drop form. You will get a receipt when you submit it that it has been completed. And then just a note that you will not hear back from us until April 16th. We do need to wait for all the submissions to come in. We need to review, give the committee time to review them all. So it does take a bit to get back to you, but we absolutely will, regardless of what the response is, you will hear back from us. So Robin, what are some other pointers that we could give people on what they should submit for this year's conference?
Yes, thanks, Becky. So the MGBCE committee this year really was thoughtful around what we wanted our theme to be. And, given COVID-19 and all that it has revealed related to the affordable housing crisis, obviously the climate crisis, racial inequities, et cetera, we really felt like in order to have the richest content or have enriching content, we needed or we wanted to solicit presentations that really spoke to a number of different sort of sub-themes and not just climate. Climate impacts us in a variety of different ways. Sustainability impacts us in a variety of different ways. So we want the submissions to really be inclusive, be engaging, and really think about who all their work is impacting, and also have those voices have a seat at this conference and have a seat on that panel. So you saw on the presentation at The Time Is Now, it's representative of the urgency around what we're talking about here, but also representative of how inclusive we want this conference to be, and representative of multiple voices.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Robin, you were so instrumental in putting all those calls to action together, which I think just really perfectly encapsulate what we're trying to do, because this really is about intersectionality, like sustainability, and the climate crisis will affect all of us in different ways. And it's going to be a cross sectional commitment from all of us to get to the right place. It's not, equity has to be a big part of it. Environmental justice and racial justice has to be a big part of it. So these aren't different conversations. They're all part of one conversation. That's what we really want to do at the conference this year. So that being said, if this topic raises a bunch of different things in your mind, you are more than welcome to submit more than one abstract. Higher chances that you will be chosen for one or the other. You may even get two. And then also we are having Community Day again this year. That will be the second day of the conference on May 22nd. And we just did one call for submissions this year because it was a little bit confusing for people, I think, to separate where they wanted their presentation to go. So we will choose from this same group of submissions, and some of them might be a better fit for Community Day. So really encourage you to submit any ideas you have and not feel like you have to get a bunch of different concepts necessarily into one submission. You can do different submissions, and then we might come back to you and say, we're all about this sort of idea of intersectionality and where these topics meet each other. Maybe we will have you combine those into one talk, or maybe we will have you combine with another submission and say, instead of doing two separate presentations, perhaps this should be a panel or a fireside chat discussion that you guys can do together, because you're really hitting like an important nexus of one of our topics. So I think that is a good thing to remember. So not too much pressure on just your one submission. We will all get there working collectively together in line with our theme. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of the rundown of the day, we will be having two separate workshop sessions throughout the day, a morning session and afternoon session. Based on all your great submissions, that's going to kind of show us how those lay out and how best to organize that so people can stick to the topics that are most beneficial to them. So there will be, the presentations will be in an hour block. Generally, people do 40 to 45 minutes with the remaining time for Q&A. Although that's not a requirement, but that's basically how the sessions lay out. So keep that in mind when you are submitting. There are other keynote type slots. We generally have we almost have those filled, but that doesn't mean that something couldn't be spurred by one of these submissions as well. So if you are a keynote speaker, particularly if you're looking to speak to the broader community on Community Day, definitely submit an abstract around that as well. All different formats are welcome. So a single presentation, workshop, panel, fireside chat, interactive demonstration, all of these are on the table. So please make it as creative and fun as you can. Of course, we are all in this virtual world, so we're really missing that interaction that we all have. And this being a conference that is generally in person, was virtual last year, but so much of the benefit of it is being in person together and really having that connection. Really encourage you to be creative in how you bring that to your submission. Any other questions you think that people may have, Robin, that you've heard, or things that we just want to let people know when they're thinking about this process?
I think I just want to highlight that, we really want folks to think outside the box. And so, as an example, if you're a creator of a net zero building, invite your superintendent to come and talk a bit about, how it is maintaining a net zero building, right? We really want to ensure that we have different perspectives that may not have been highlighted in past conferences, or what you may not typically see at different events such as this, so that we can get, the perspectives of people that are really kind of at the nuts and bolts of this, really trying to implement change. And so I would just encourage people, as they're thinking about their submissions, to just be creative and think about, inclusivity as you submit for your panels.
Absolutely. The more voices, the better on these issues. Really getting all of those well-rounded perspectives, I think helps really hit the topics that we want to see. So that is a great point, and definitely encourage you to do that. Um, Now I guess we can take more questions, or if you have any follow-up questions, you can definitely reach out directly to us. You can reach me at Becky at usgbc-la.org. I'd be happy to take any additional questions you have. And really, we're just looking forward to an amazing conference this year. It is our 20th anniversary. We are so excited. We have a real handle on the virtual environment after an entire year of this. So we really know what we're doing now in the virtual world, and really excited to bring you some really important content, because after all, the time is now. We have to act now, and we have to act together if we're going to accomplish anything in this really important next decade. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you got all the information you need, and we'll see you at MGBCE.